Welcome to episode 4 of the revived SkyTemple podcast. My name is Yakamon, coming to you from the east coast of Australia. Today my guest is Argonien, who has been on the podcast once before when I was hosting with Max, as well as an unofficial episode when Smingle was hosting that you can find on his YouTube channel. If you aren't aware, Argonien has made a number of hacks, either as standalone projects or through Hack Jam events in a team. Some to name are Phantasmy and its sequel Phantarium, Operative Labours, and PMD Delusion. The main focus of this episode, however, is on his latest one, Fenja's Journey. Fenja's Journey is a story about a young Zoroark alchemist and her travels through a vast unknown world. The story is told mostly through cutscenes, but there are also gameplay elements which involve using the touchscreen to mix elements of the periodic table together, like a real alchemist. Like every interview I do, this was a lot of fun, and I assure you, you'll want to stay for the audience questions. They threw up some unusual questions this time. So, let's get into it. Argonien, welcome back to the SkyTemple podcast. Is this your second or third interview? I forget if Smingle interviewed you as well.
Yeah, it's my third actually, although the interview with Smingle got kind of delayed by a few months somehow.
Yes, it was that one. You were the subject, right? Shows. Apologies to Smingle. That shows how much I was paying attention. Awesome. So you've made many hacks in your SkyTemple hacking career, but the latest one that you've released is called Fenja's Journey, and it's a really interesting hack about a Zoroark who goes out to try and be a bit of a left of field alchemist, I suppose. Not an unconventional alchemist. I've noticed that a lot of your hacks, the solo hacks anyway, deal with the supernatural and the occult. Is that, where does that interest come from? Where does that inspiration come from in that sense?
That's actually a good question. Regarding Phantasmy and Phantarium, which of course also deal with the supernatural, it's more of a way of trying to, trying to go into the horror aspect with the EOS engine. And with Fenja's Journey, I just tried to move away from the traditional gameplay a bit more, and also just experiment with the EOS engine. I just found it to be a somewhat interesting way to go about the gameplay, which is, at least possible. So I guess that's kind of where it came from.
Nice. And so I guess, what have you found with this is a bit of a this one's a bit of an unscripted question, but what have you found about the engine? Because I think there's been a lot of gameplay, like cool gameplay gimmicks that your hacks have had. What are some things that maybe people don't realize about the EOS engine that you can do with it?
I think most of the people that do ROM hacks don't actually think about what is possible with the engine and just work with the confined bases that they have already by EOS. But technically, the engine is kind of a blank canvas. You can basically do with it whatever you want to do with it. There is potential to have, of course, touchscreen-based minigames, as we all know, at least those who have played my hacks. I think it's kind of a case of what isn't possible with this engine. In some way, you can get probably everything to work, from a farming game and to a quick time event over, sorting colors. This is, I think, all possible with this engine.
Yes, and we've actually seen that. I know it wasn't one you've made, but we've seen two separate Ace Attorney style hacks in there, and as well too, there was a Professor Layton one that Erta Queer and I did for Mystery Mail. So there's certainly a lot you can do with Explorers of Sky and the game engine. Awesome. Now, an actual follow-up question that I did want to ask about Fenya's journey is that specifically based on anything, the story idea, or is that just something you came up with on at the spur of the moment?
You mean the base of traveling through and having like these short stories that are like not that connected between each other?
Yeah, that too. Fenya as a character, just I guess, just in general, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, where did this come from? Yeah, that's. I mean, I
It's
think
fine
mainly I
if it didn't
decided
come from
for.
anywhere.
I mean, I had a reason to go with the at least style of having these not quite as connected story segments, which is that I tend to try out new things with the engine. When I get like some idea for like I don't know, let's say I had like a great idea for a farming game, and it would just not fit in any of the hacks I'm working on. Then I could turn to Fenja's Journey and just make a short story chapter about farming.
Hmm.
You know, it's basically these short story chapters have with only Fenja as the connection between each other, just open up a lot of possibility to go into many different directions story wise and also gameplay wise.
Mm, mm. So I guess what you're saying is that you sort of thought, oh, it would be cool if I made some kind of alchemy mini game, and that's where Fenya's Journey was born from. Am I right in saying that?
Kinda, yeah.
Mm. And because my knowledge of Gen 5 plus Pokemon is very poor, well, actually, it's pretty obvious. I don't know why I'm asking, but the design for Fenya is that some kind of OC of yours or some other sort of design? Like, was that your own design, or did you get a commission somewhere? Or I'm curious about the design.
The design is. I mean, I did make the design myself. It's not that special, I think.
Mm.
It's basically just some recoloring done to the portraits and sprites.
Mm.
Mm, but the design itself is, well, just something I came up, something that I thought looked nice.
Mm. Fair,
And
fair.
that's basically where it comes from.
I mean, to be fair, I kind of forget. I've seen so many Zoroarks, so I kind of forget if it was just a color swap or not. It's like I said, my knowledge stops at Gen 4, so I only know of Zoroark from. Well, actually, I should have watched the Zoroark movie because it was technically within the Gen 4 canon, but I never got around to watching it. So anyway, this that's beside the point. um, so you've talked about the different gameplay elements that you think of that you'd be like, oh yeah, this is great to include in a hack. I'm going to create a hack like this. Are there any ideas that you haven't implemented yet that you'd like to implement in the future?
Very lot. Um, I mean, I've talked about it a lot of times now already, but farming is actually something I thought about.
Yeah.
But that is not only a concept I'm working out for Fenya's Journey, that is also a concept I am working on for something other in the future,
Hmm.
which will have that as a part of the gameplay.
Hmm.
Um, but most of the stuff is pretty much it's basically very much in development. I don't know how to go about most of the stuff I'm thinking about, but there's definitely some stuff planned.
Awesome, awesome. I've lost count of how many hacks you've contributed to. You've contributed to a lot of hacks over the
It's like
last
7 or 8 or something,
seven.
yeah.
Amazing. Well, you're probably one of the most prolific hackers out there. I guess when you think about sort of your first hack compared to Fenya's Journey, your latest hack, what do you think is the biggest sort of progression in your skills that you've made over that time?
I think I've progressed basically anywhere, everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, starting at how I write dialogue to
Mm.
how I write my scripts. I've started writing scripts with like the usual with statements and everything just kind of bloated, you know.
Mm.
When going into Phantasime, I started working a lot more with logs and targeted routines, basically coming to the point where I would basically never use with statements anymore. And now with the development of Fenja's journey, I started including also a lot of macros for the text management, for example. Because this is an EU ROM, I have to constantly also take care of the other languages which are not scripted out because, well, I don't speak them. And yeah, I just have some copy paste macro I can use for this now, which also speeds up coding a lot. And I think in general, scene composition, I think I've gotten a lot better. Movement during cutscenes, and also the art for backgrounds and assets has gotten a lot better, I think. So I guess there's not really anything I've not improved in since then.
Fair, fair. And you talk about the fact that you use an EU ROM. One thing I don't think I mentioned in the intro was that your hacks are made in both German and English, and so I forget. Do you get people to help you with the English translations, or are you fluent enough that you feel like uh, you can write those pretty well?
For one project, I have help basically, but for the others that I do work on myself, I write the dialogue myself.
Yeah. And how much longer does it take to write? Because I've always been curious about sort of the hacks that have decided to take the plunge and do a bilingual or multilingual options. I mean, I know Explorers of the Spirit had a Spanish translation. I know Special Episode Zero was both in Spanish and English. I mean, how much extra development time does it take to write in both languages?
I'd say not that much actually, because the biggest time waste in case of development is just writing the script. When it comes to, I mean, how I do it is I write this the whole script, like the usual script, like, and I write it usually with only German intact, and then I go through the script, look at the text, does it make sense, does it work, is it written correctly, etc. And then I just take the text box tool and just translate the German sentences into English into the text box tool and just paste them in basically
Yeah.
in the English slot for the macro. I mean,
Cool.
it's like an extra few hours of work, and in like a bigger scale, but it's not that much more. It really depends on the scale and how much text you have.
Yeah, and I think if you do have I'm speaking more general, not just your hack, but hacks in general. If I know PMD is quite big in the fandom is quite big in Spain. That's where PMD Day actually came from. Just a bunch of Spanish Pokemon fans just deciding on a random day with no significance whatsoever. And I think it's cool seeing the stuff coming out of there. And really, if you have the opportunity to if you know a second language or you know someone that does, having hacks in a second language can really expand the playability of the game itself.
Yeah, definitely. It's just bringing like an extra player base, the possibility to enjoy a game, basically.
All right. So we talked about this before, briefly, but I'll ask about it again. If you want to add any more detail, you can. But when creating your hacks, do you usually build around a gameplay idea or a story idea, or sometimes it can be, or sometimes it changes with each hack?
Hmm. Usually for me, it goes like this. I have some important story points I want to reach inside the story, and I have some gameplay stuff laid out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to connect those two things together while writing the intermediate basically on the fly, which unfortunately leads to rewrites often. But yeah, I'm just not patient enough to write out the whole story before, like line by line, before getting into the hacking.
Yes, not like me. I like to write out basically everything before my cutscenes, all before, and like Dark Rise Revenge. I've pretty much had the entire plot 80% set before I even turned a script, which is both great but scary at the same time because now I've locked myself into a story and I have no idea if people will like it or not. But that's my problem.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the thing is, I usually get some at least kind of good ideas while writing the story, and if I have like an already set, like more deeply set story, then I have to rewrite that story as well. Basically, that's kind of unfortunately how my development cycle goes usually.
Awesome. Uh, so I guess you've already answered this in a sense, talking about farming and whatnot, maybe. But Fenya's journey at the moment is an incomplete anthology. There's more parts to come. So what can we expect next for Fenya in her journey?
I have a Google Doc actually, which I need to take a look at for that. It has been a minute. I think I know what it is, but let me check to make sure I'm not talking some wrong stuff. That would be. Oh yeah, I was right. It's a story about bread.
Story about bread.
Yes, it's literally that. It's just a story about bread. You know, I don't think that every single story has to have a deeper meaning
Mm,
inside Fenya's journey. There can just be a story that's just about the mundane things in life.
yeah.
Basically, just sitting at a bench, eating some good bread, watching some people scream at each other, and just continuing eating bread.
Nice, nice. Because I think I must have thought because I guess I think more traditional sort of story. So this it's not necessarily that Fenya the stuff introduced in say chapter one is necessarily going to come back in chapter 8 or 9. Like it's not like you're not going to have it's not set in stone that Fenja got run out of that town. Sorry, I forget the name, and it might not be brought up again. It's more of an anthology. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of. I mean, there will be some references later down the line to some
Mm.
previous events. Just Fenga like reminiscing about what she has seen until now, if there's like anything comparable happening.
Yeah.
But the chance that this exact town with these exact people will come up again is very, very slim.
Yeah. All good. All right. So one other question I wanted to ask. I know primarily we were going to talk about Fenya's journey, but I also just wanted to briefly ask just one question about Phantasme and Phantarium, and
Mhm.
I guess uh, Phantarium being I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing these potentially. I'm sorry,
No, it's fine. It's
um,
fine.
but Phantarium is a sequel to Phantasme. What was the reasoning behind that? Because I know Phantasme kind of ended like I don't know. I forget like what were your sort of how did people react to the ending of Phantasme, and did that contribute to you creating a sequel?
I mean, from what I've seen in case of reactions to Phantasime is that the reactions were like very, very positive, very affirmative of the whole concept. And yeah, they are basically the reason why there is Phantarim.
Mm.
Yeah, it's basically that. I saw that people did really enjoy it, and also apparently that people quite enjoyed Phantarim. And I do have to say there is a third one and a last one planned.
Hmm.
But it will be quite some time before that one comes out because I do have some other projects I need to desperately finish first. Um, but there is a third one planned, definitely.
Nice. I think for me, where I was more thinking of, and maybe this was just me, I was thinking the ending of Phantasme. It was kind of like it was kind of interesting because you're left with sort of two branching options, but they turn out to almost end up the same way, and in this sort of horror style ending. And it's like it's not there wasn't a good ending to the story. So I was thinking maybe that was the motivation for why you made a second one. But
I mean,
granted,
yeah,
I haven't played the second one, but I should. But
okay.
yeah, that was just my personal. That was my personal headcanon of thinking of why you made the second one. To be honest, I'm glad to know I'm
Yeah,
completely wrong.
I did leave the ending open to have the possibility to
Yeah,
go on as, for a second one if it's received well,
yeah.
which it was obviously, and it was really really quite fun to see people speculating about what happened and what Fulvia did.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I mean, some of them were right, some of them were completely wrong. But on the topic of Phantasim and Phantarim, I wanted to mention one more thing. There is still a secret in Phantarim that I have not seen anyone find yet.
Ooh. Which is surprising because I know there are some people in the SkyTemple server, I won't name names, that search all around for secrets.
True.
And I know
And
it's
I
it's
will
a,
name one name because one has found a tiny bit. I mean, Adex has found one kind of hint I put into the files, but that's about all I will say.
I wouldn't. I was not going to name that name. That was the name I was thinking of, to be honest. Because I mean, look, I'm on the mystery mail. I'm a mystery mail guardian, right? I see all the machinations behind the mystery mail secrets.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen MM5 COT. I, by the way, at how that looks.
Uh, awesome, cool. But no, it's great to hear that the third game's coming. Uh, all right, I have one more question, but I'm actually going to leave it until after the audience questions. So I don't know whether you should be both nervous or excited, but I'll leave that until after the audience questions. So I'm going to do my traditional post production musical interlude where we fade us out and put in some music, and then we'll come back with audience questions. Audience questions, which this is where the interesting questions come. Some of these about Fenya's journey, some of these are not about Fenya's journey. And
All right.
I will go down the list, and we shall pick out some questions. So the first one comes from friend of the show, Roku Zero. What motivated you to make Fenya's journey? You've already touched on this, but anything you wanted to add to that?
Mm, it's basically, I mean, in general, it was to have a hack that I can work on in between that doesn't have long chapters, so
Yep.
I can get stuff out actually, because that's a huge problem with the longer hacks, or like the bigger hacks. If I want to bring out content there, it has to be like multiple chapters or something. But in Fenja's Journey, I can just make a short chapter, short sweet story for that part, and just get it out to the players, you know?
Yes, I feel that. Boxing myself in with Darkrise Revenge, it's both having a real life. It means that I work on it at a glacial pace, and yeah. There are some days where it's like, oh, it's like I'm so slow, and it's like 3 years to make a hack with that's barely going to be 10 hours. It's like, oh, but it's worth it in the end. But yeah, it'd be nice if I could. But I mean, if I work on something else, then I don't work on Dark Rose Revenge. But this isn't my podcast. This is your podcast, so I should stop rambling. uh, on Fenya's journey still, Espic. Now, Espic has asked two questions. Now, I do say, can you please ask one question? But actually, I'm going to allow two questions on this. because it doesn't feel right not to exclude one of them. So, Aspect's first question is what inspired you to make a universe where any Pokemon can learn alchemy?
Good question. What inspired me to do that? Yeah, that's honestly a good question. I honestly don't have an answer ready for that one. I guess it just came along with the idea of the gameplay, and it wouldn't make much sense to not to only have Fenjas. I didn't want to be Fenja like the odd one out, basically. I mean, she is kinda, but I didn't want her to be the only one capable of something like this. I think that would just be kind of too much.
And yeah, I guess the comments you said before about just the supernatural in general, sort of having that kind of mystical slash, well, I say horror, but it's not. Fenya's journey isn't horror, but it's like it's got that kind of
I mean, it could be for
witches.
one chapter.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I said it could be for one chapter if I
Well,
wanted
yeah,
to, but yeah.
it could be, but I guess I'm more thinking like more like witches and witchery and all that type of stuff. Ouija boards, that type of stuff. Espic's second question is: can you say something cool about your hacks in German?
Boah, heilige Scheiße. Let me think. Something cool about my hacks in German.
You can say whatever you like. I'm not going to be able to understand what you're saying.
True, but I'm thinking of what to say in general. What is there cool about my hacks? Naja, ich schätze mal, man kann es in 2 Sprachen spielen. Gameplay ist natürlich eine Sache, die hin und wieder ja doch mal etwas Innovation erfährt. Auch wenn es ein ziemlicher Krampf meistens ist, das Ganze zum Laufen zu kriegen, ist das, was man zurückkriegt, natürlich eine sehr, sehr angenehme Sache. Nämlich ein funktionierendes Konzept, das im Endeffekt nicht ganz unausgereift ist, in den meisten Fällen. Ich denke, das wär's. Yeah, I think that's it.
Dankeschön.
Bitte sehr.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, hopefully, Espic, you understand that. Or maybe you just wanted to hear some German. I know. Who knows what your motivations were for that? I'm sure you'll say so in the comments. Okay. So, moving on. Moving on to Donosaur, who is also a friend of the show, asked multiple questions from various participants. Donosaur asks, what is the status on burned soil?
I knew that question would come eventually. Yes, how is it's in a state. No, it's being currently. That's the hack I have the help on for the English text. We are currently looking through the whole game, basically rewriting most of it again. We're almost done with the like 2/3, I think it was last time I looked in the Google Doc, with the stuff that was in version B. The next update in itself is 100% scripted out, like it's functional, working, etc. But it also needs to undergo somewhat changes, and it's currently basically an unknown when it's done. Because of course we are talking about free time here, and this has turned out to be quite a large hack actually. So yeah, but it is coming. It's not dead, although it's been like almost 2 years since the last update. It's not dead. It's just being worked on slowly.
And sorry, because I haven't been following Burn Soil myself, but who's working with you on that?
That is a person named Dragon Mage.
Right.
Yeah, I also don't think he's on the SkyTemple Discord. Where is he? No, he isn't.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
That's all good. Don't have to be part of the Discord server to be a SkyTemple hacker. That would be terrible gatekeeping on our end.
That is true.
Uh, so Adex has asked a question.
Mm-hmm.
So cast your mind back to mystery mail number 3. Sorry, he says number 4. So I'm reading the question as it was written. It was mystery mail 4. Do you remember the hidden overlay 36 string asking participants to leave a message? In there, you
I
said
do.
your next video project would be making a bookshelf. Where is the bookshelf video?
Dead. It was my plan to do that. Yeah, I mean the bookshelf. I did build the bookshelf. It's like standing like 2 meters from away from me. The problem is the recording in itself turned out to be quite terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Because lighting sucked, camera position sucked, and it just wasn't a good video. So it just kind of got scrapped. But I will announce something different. I mean, I hope it will come out, but there may come a video about electrical engineering and building amplifiers.
Wow.
I hope so. I plan to do it, and I have some stuff like some circuits laid out. But I don't know when it will come. But it should come sometime soon, hopefully.
Watch this space, as they say here, and I don't know if they say it elsewhere in the world. I know they say it in Australia, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm German. I don't know. But yeah, just take this as a replacement for the bookshelf video. It just really sucked ass, genuinely.
Maybe as a compromise, we can send a picture of the what the bookshelf looks like, the finished product to I don't know, satisfy ADEX in some way, shape, or form.
We can definitely do that. Yeah.
And now, if I could just direct your eyes to the screen for one moment, for your viewing pleasure, Argonien's bookshelf. Adex also points out a bit of a flaw with my form. He says, "Why?" This is a question for me. Why do I allow people to submit multiple questions despite claiming to only pick one? That's because simply a limitation of Google's forms. Essentially, if you were to limit responses to one per person, it would require the person having a Google account. Now, everyone and their mother has a Google account. I realize that, but I don't want to discriminate against people who don't want one for whatever reason. I know that burner accounts exist and all that, but I would rather not collect the email addresses, the Gmail addresses of everyone. I'm sure there's a way to make it anonymous. I haven't looked into it. I know Microsoft Forms we use at work has an anonymous thing, at least the enterprise version. But yes, to answer your question, Adex, that is why I allow multiple responses, because I don't want to collect Google account emails like I'm some kind of hacker.
Though I think it is the normal thing to. Yeah, I think normally it is that you're required to have a Google account, but the email itself is not being transmitted with the form. I think it's pretty sure that it's that way.
Probably
It says,
is. I'm probably just being super cautious.
I mean, when you make a form, you can just look at it in like another browser where you're not logged in or something, and then it will tell you like if the email address will be sent with the form or not. It says it on like the top of the form.
Yeah. Yeah, I will look into that. That is my I've already got another interview lined up, so which will be activated pretty much once this goes live. So yeah, I'll look into that. Okay. So I will. This isn't really a. This is more of a. Is this a question? I think this is a question, but you know, Sec from SkyTemple?
Yeah, I do.
Yes. He asks, why is the journey and not the exploration like Mitchell and Sparky?
Because
uh,
exploration is boring and journey is fun.
yes, exploration takes a lot more time than a journey. Exploration, you're going. You don't have a purpose. The Fenja has a purpose. Team Fire Spark do not have a purpose.
Does Fenja have a purpose? I mean, her only purpose is just to wander the lands and just, I don't know, look at buildings or something. Just live life.
All right, last question comes from your fellow countryman JP, unless they're Austrian. They're German.
I think he's German.
Yeah, he's
I
German.
think he's German, yeah.
Yeah. Now he asked this question in German, and unfortunately, I don't have Google. I had the Google text so I could pronounce it properly because I was going to say this in German, but I've actually lost it. He asks, "Wie gefällt the Bayern so?" Which, for those playing at home, means how much does Argonien like the German state of Bavaria?
I have some strong opinions on Bavarians. Some very strong opinion. I mean, I lived there for 2 years. I am now moved to another state, like 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But Bavarian people are just different. They honestly have kind of a god complex, like a real bad one. They genuinely think that everything in their state is better than anywhere else in Germany. At least these people that I know.
Mm-hmm.
They think they are they think their education is better. They think the standard of living is better. It's I don't know. One fun thing about Bavarians is they have a very strong accent compared to a lot of other German states. And the funny thing about this is they don't even understand each other. Like they talk to each other in Bavarian and they just don't understand each other.
It's like Scottish people.
Almost, yeah. As someone like me who's from West Germany, like from the very west border of Germany, I didn't understand shit for like half a year.
I think a lot of countries have that. I guess that one part of the country that is a bit different to everyone else. I think apologies to any Queenslanders in Australia, but Queensland is it's like the Florida of Australia, and it's it's strange people up there with very different views, but yes, I can imagine Bavaria being I won't say probably different to obviously Queensland or Florida, but I guess the comparison being that they're a bit separate from the rest of the country in the way that they operate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would like to be their own country, although they would never work because they're very much in debt to a lot of the other states. And, just, I mean, I'm probably making those few Bavarians who may watch this podcast kind of angry, but it is just what it is. Your state government is kind of weird.
Cool. International geopolitics. That is what we want here on the SkyTemple podcast. I shall next episode. I will go into a 20-minute rant about the Australian government system because hey, it's not US politics, so it's not like we can get people angry. Majority of our audience is.
Yeah.
Cool. No. Sorry, I was thinking of something funny. I was just thinking. Next episode, I'll go into an hour-long monologue about the American election, and I'll turn everyone off and get banned from the SkyTemple server. Don't worry, I'm keeping all the answers in. It's not offensive. Awesome. Thank you very much, Argonien. So I had one other question, and apologies to Adex because I also have a bit of a request for you, Argonien. And so you've made a number of Argonian Corpse videos, and I thought I wouldn't let you get away with. I wouldn't pass up the opportunity from this Australian to a German. I was thinking, would you be open to cooking an Australian dish if you found the ingredients for it? And I've got the perfect one.
All right. What is it?
It's something you may remember from Mystery Mail. It's the pavlova. You can get single servings of it. I think all the ingredients you can get because it's just actually I haven't got it up here, but it's like cream and you top it off with fruit and eggs. I think it's just cream and eggs really, and all that. But I didn't have a. I should have sent something right now to show you, but well, I thought I asked my fellow Australian, oh, what's a good Australian thing to and she said pavlova. I'm like, oh, of course, for the memes. uh,
I mean, from what I can see, it's kind of a baser topped with whipped cream and fruits, right?
yes, yes. Serves, and there are single serve ones that you can cook, so you don't have to cook like one for 8 people. Don't worry. But yes, would
Yeah,
you
I can
would you
just
be
make one
open?
on the base of one egg white.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, the recipes I see here, I like one egg white, 50 grams sugar, some starch, some vanilla, some yogurt, I guess, and some fruit, basically.
yeah, you top it off with fruit. It's actually quite contentious. Actually, some people say New Zealand invented it. Some people say Australia invented it. There are a number of things like that where Australia and New Zealand get into fights about who invented what. But for the purposes of
Yeah,
this,
I feel
Pavlov.
that with Flammkuchen.
For
It's either Germans invented it or French invented. I mean, it comes from Elsass. The
Mhm.
problem with Elsass is it changed occupation a lot of times during
Mm.
the time Flammkuchen was
Yeah,
invented.
yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
there were
sense.
kind of wars there and
Yeah,
stuff.
the fluidness of European boundaries. uh,
I could try it. I suck at making pizzas though, but I can try it.
yeah, I mean it's worth a shot. Plus, I mean, think of it as a bit of a cultural exchange. You gave me German language and a crash course on Bavaria. I will give you pavlova to cook.
All right. Yeah, just send me some original recipe. Probably because I only have like German recipes or like Germanified recipes here, so they will probably won't be that accurate to the
Yeah, I
original.
will. I will find something. I forgot to bookmark the recipe, the pavlova recipe, and I'll do a single serve one because a lot of pavlova recipes are like for, Christmas party. It's usually traditionally served at Christmas because it doesn't snow here, so we need like cold desserts and stuff.
Right. But yeah, you're lucky that I have moved to another place because in my apartment in Bavaria, I couldn't have done that because I didn't have an oven. But now that I do have an oven,
Mm.
I can actually make bases. Because
Ah.
making a base in an air fryer is basically impossible.
Yes, yes, I can imagine considering air fryers are for heat and not for. Oh, well, I'll say, well, actually, no, pavlovas you bake, yes. So it shows how much I cook.
Yeah, I mean, you can bake in an air fryer. I mean, I did bake bread regularly in there.
Mm,
The problem is just with air fryers, you have the heating element way too close to what you are well baking.
mhm.
So if you have something in there that's supposed to stay in there for a long time, like a baser, which just like needs to dry out, then you will just burn it.
Yeah.
It's just what happens. So for stuff like this, you basically need an oven.
Mm. The good thing about pavlova is I think it's quite simple. I think I don't that you don't hear horror like let's say that I don't see clickbait articles every Christmas about how people have stuffed up the pavlova. So you should be right it shouldn't be too onerous. But and hey, it serves the meme. Mystery mail
I
reference.
mean, the only difficult thing would be the baser, I think, but the rest seems quite easy. Although getting fresh fruit at this time of year is probably going to be rather expensive, but I will look what I can get. Maybe
The
we'll have to go with frozen.
yeah, well, I mean, the good thing about pavlovas is that the fruit is just the top. Like you just top it with fruit, and it's usually strawberries or kiwi fruit or passion fruit, but people top it with whatever they like. I mean, I don't like fruit myself, so I usually pick the fruit off the pavlova and just have it um, uh, without topping, which I'm sure will offend some Australians here. I realise this. All right. Well, thank you, Argonian. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And good luck with the rest of your projects. It won't be the last we hear of you, and it won't be the last we hear of your projects. And looking forward to see what you've got next.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, was there anything else you wanted to say that I didn't cover in the interview?
I mean, I could ramble on a bit about C, but I don't think that's quite the people want to hear. So I think I'm good. I mentioned the stuff about Fantarim, and I think I'm good.
Awesome. Well, once again, Argonian, thank you very much for being on the SkyTemple podcast.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be here.
I'm sure you're with me when I say I can't wait for what Argonian comes up with next. And it goes to show just how flexible the game engine of Explorers of Sky is. Thanks again to Argonian for agreeing to do the interview. The next episode will be with the developers of Explorers of Darkened Sky. Lead developer Kate Seth will be there, and hopefully other members of the development team too. If you want to ask a question of them, the audience question form is open now. Just follow the link below in the video description. Until then though, it's bye for now.